Tabeth Kida clywed, dylwn ni ddim wedi rhoi lan ein swyddi I ddysgu Cymraeg I blant ysgol Smotlyd. This is the TuxRadar podcast, episode 20. I'm Paul Hudson.
I'm Andrew Gregory.
I'm Mike Saunders.
And I'm Graham Morrison.
And in this episode, the big news is of course, Ubuntu Karmic Koala. Is it the next big leap forward for Linux distros? Our hot topic is Ubuntu, and our open ballot is, of course, more Ubuntu. So strap yourself in, folks. This is an Ubuntu special. Don't forget, you can subscribe to our magazine at tinyurl.com/podcastlxf. Please do. We're very poor and need your money. And this week, we want to particularly call out to you all. Tell your friends about the podcast. Go on. We get a lot of people writing in saying how wonderful it is. That's great. Tell one friend. Let's double our audience.
So, Karmic Koala is here. Let's see what is new in this release. Primarily, there's been a lot of work on the boot sequence, making it faster, making it prettier. They've switched over to Upstart instead of the normal booting software.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice of them, isn't it? And there's work been done on the kernel mode setting and Intel graphics, so that supposedly you get a smoother boot up with less flickering and switching into text mode. And all the other stuff we're used to. ext4 is the default file system, grub2 is the default bootloader, and HAL, good old HAL, the hardware abstraction layer, is being deprecated, so goodbye HAL.
What's in its place?
Device kit and...
What's this obsession with kits? Where does this come from?
Well, BIOS.
WebKit, surely.
The BIOS used to have everything with kits, didn't it? IM kit and game kit and stuff like that. So.
Kit.
Kit cat kit.
That's what they make kits with.
For making cars. Yes. They've actually had Upstart for a while, haven't they? But I think it's been running in init mode, isn't it?
Yes, as I understand it, yes.
It looked like it wasn't changed, but now actually has changed.
I mean, the last Ubuntu release was, they already had a lot of improvements to the boot speed anyway.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
So this should take it even further.
Well, but apparently the next one, Lucid's going to do even more.
Really? What are they hoping for here?
Apparently
3 seconds?
under 10 seconds. Easily.
Under 10 seconds? Yeah. On a standard kind of PC?
Yeah, well, I think it'll be under 5 on something that's already loaded or something.
Some
really biased test bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they want to get it ludicrously fast.
I think that's great because for years, Linux boot speed's been one of my beefs.
Well, people are saying, I never boot up my Linux. I just close my laptop or whatever, turn the monitor off and walk away. I'm the complete opposite. I don't trust my Linux to actually go into hibernation.
No,
I've woken up some mornings and it's been still, I've heard the fan on maximum just trying to do something, and I'm like, it's really hot, what's it been doing for the last 9 hours?
Well, I keep trying hibernation, but it takes longer to resume from hibernation for me than it takes to start up the machine.
Well, I guess, if you've got 4 gigs of RAM and, half of it's used, then it's got to write out 2 gigs.
Yeah.
To swap partition.
But then you read the theoretical limits of how fast a hard drive should be able to read those 2 gigs, and it probably should just be a few seconds, but it never is.
Yeah, it never actually is, no. So, yeah, good work on that.
It's great that over the last few releases, they really have made a difference to boot speed. They've promised it and they've delivered, I think, most of the time. And if they carry on, if they get underneath 10 seconds, I think that's a massive advantage.
And you've got to admit, it looks great. I love the new bootloader, the new splash screen that boots. It's incredible. That's how it should look years ago.
Yeah, I've not actually seen it. On Kubuntu, which I installed, you get the nice Kubuntu logo.
Okay. So, well, it starts off with like a black screen and it's a plain white Ubuntu silhouette on it.
Oh, right.
And then it clears away and you get like a sort of light shining down, floodlights onto the Ubuntu logo. And it, like a little kit style wow that boots up.
Yeah. That sounds great.
Yeah. Just like Cylons from Battlestar Galactica.
I like that kind of thing. Yeah. Cylon Attack was a great game.
There you go. And it's got a new GNOME, isn't it? 2.28.
It's got GNOME 2.28. It's got
they
KD.
did well getting that in.
Yeah, they have. What's the KD version it's got?
It's 4.3.1.
Right.
That's it. 4.3.1.
And Xubuntu is XFC 4.6 point something. But that isn't actually a change. I think it was 4.6 in the previous release.
But two major desktop upgrades.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's big.
Ubuntu can't avoid putting a major KD upgrade in because they're updating it so often.
Their 6 monthly schedule. Yeah, that's right.
And is that it for features though? Really?
That's the main features. Yeah, outlined. There's a usual.
Not sure who finds Grub very exciting.
Well, I did speak to someone who did the upgrade over the last few days actually, and got into all kinds of trouble with Grub2 because they used software RAID.
Really?
Yeah, and in the end had to go back to putting grub1.x on a USB stick, and it was the only way he could get back into his machine.
I'd read that people doing in-place upgrades are left with grub1.
Yes, yeah.
Because grub2 will break things.
So I don't know why he ended up with grub2, but yeah, I'd read that too.
Nice.
So it's something to be aware of if you do use Software RAID.
Yeah. I actually tried the awesome new feature of Cheese, which is take multiple pictures with one click.
So what does it stagger that, leave a second between
It does,
them?
yeah. I couldn't find a cancel button. So it insisted on taking 4 whether I liked it or not. And unlike the photo booth app they're basically ripping off from Apple, it doesn't put them all in one picture, it just gives you 4 individual pictures.
Oh, right.
The photo booth one from Apple is designed to look like the kind of thing you get from a actual photo booth, where the name comes from. They haven't done that. You just get 4 separate shots. But what it has got, which is quite nice, and I had before, but I like to play with it, is the effects thing, where you can actually add cumulative effects.
Well, you can put one effect on top of another
like black
effect.
and white, and wave, and this kind of thing, and
Why?
Shagadelic is one of them. It's great.
Shagadelic.
Yeah.
It's great that so many developers are obviously working on Cheese while the GIMP languages in.
Yes. This was the first Kubuntu netbook release, apparently.
There's a Kubuntu netbook.
Yeah, I haven't tried it, but I did see it. In fact, I was going to try it. I was trying to find the .img file rather than an ISO because I couldn't have installed an ISO, and I couldn't find one. So, hopefully by the time...
Now, today.
Later on today they'll sort that out.
Yeah. And Ubuntu 1?
Ubuntu 1 is now included by default. The cloud file internet sharing business, which we talked about in a previous podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, we tried it, me and Graham. Oh, you, me and you?
I tried it as well. It's limited to 2 gigs of
It
files.
does
or something.
look better now. They've redesigned the user interface on the web. It's not great, but it's a lot better.
Yeah.
So it feels a bit smarter and more integrated. And obviously the plan is bundle it as standard. Everyone gets Ubuntu 1 whether they use it or not.
Yeah.
Which again, it means you can rely on it being there, which is quite nice.
But can you rely on putting your data up there? We've seen what happened this week.
Improved evidence says no. Yes. The sidekick disaster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. No, apparently.
Has anyone looked at the eucalyptus integration? I haven't.
No, that's really tedious, isn't it?
Well, it is, but I'd always presume that koalas eating eucalyptus, it would be something that everything would be.
What is that, Graham? Eucalyptus?
It's more cloud stuff.
More cloud stuff.
Yeah.
I think the idea is that you can make your own Amazon EC2 style cloud locally for the cheap.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
That's it. Yeah.
That's summarising it quite nicely. And I think it's installed as standard, though. You have to actually go through a special
I don't know.
install procedure.
I haven't looked at it yet because, but I remember when Mark Shuttleworth announced this release, that was in the first paragraph. It was something that they were really going to aim for.
Well, that's because he's going for the whole koala eucalyptus thing, isn't he? Koalas like to eat eucalyptus.
Yeah.
And yada, yada, yada. So it sounds like there's not that much new.
Massive anticlimax.
Nothing that gets us really psyched up.
When has the last release of Ubuntu been full of new cool stuff?
That's true.
No, this is one of the features of Ubuntu, isn't it? Stability. It's in the same way that GNOME only comes out with new versions very incrementally. It's not a KDE reinventing the wheel sort of distro.
Yeah, that's true. And, there's only so much they can do.
It's true. Well, I remember Intrepid being not very intrepid. But isn't the worry that the next GNOME release is 3.0 and that happens to coincide with the next long-term release of Ubuntu?
But GNOME 3.0 is not going to be massively radically different from 2.28, is it?
People have been trying it, saying they're not very pleased with the whole idea of zooming out to see more tasks and zooming in again. It's very similar to the desktop thing, workspaces thing, and KDE 4.
Oh, no, not.
I know, but the problem is,
awful.
If you remember last time, Ubuntu didn't want to commit to KDE 4 straight away because it's a long-term release.
Yeah.
They want to wait and get it right. And I think if GNOME does slip by even 2 or 3 weeks, they may not make it into the next release.
I think for an LTS, they should stick with 2.28, yeah.
Interestingly, I found out over the last few days that, they had the joint desktop summit in the Canary Islands this year, the GNOME and KDE guys. Well, next year, then it's not a joint summit.
Oh, they're split up, have they?
And apparently this is partly to do with the fact that the GNOME people didn't want their potential publicity coverage for the GNOME 3.0 release to be halved by sharing the summit with KDE guys.
That's nice of them.
I know.
Wow, because it's going to be all over the papers.
But is that what the KDE guys were saying, though?
No, it wasn't. But
Right.
Okay, that's a rumour. But I loved the idea of a joint summit. I thought finally we were getting somewhere.
Yeah. Were the XFC guys invited?
That's true. Why not? That makes far more sense.
Yeah.
Trying to actually bring these technologies together.
Absolutely.
Right, it's now time for our It's now time for our own personal reviews of various versions of Ubuntu that we've we've enjoyed playing with over the last couple of weeks. I've really loved it. How have you got on, Mike?
I've been using Xubuntu, because I always use Xubuntu, and it's not radically different from the previous release, but it's got a new theme. For starters, black title bars, black panels everywhere.
Oh, right. By the by the Ubuntu art guys, or is that?
I don't know.
Just to clarify for some listeners, which one is Ubuntu?
Xubuntu is the XFCE one.
There you go.
So XFCE has, like I say, a new theme. Everything's black,
right,
and shiny.
So you normally do you use XFCE on an Ubuntu?
I do, yeah.
Base?
Yeah.
So you could tell things like it must have been faster to boot.
It's very, very snappy. It's a very speedy. It does boot quite quickly. I was quite disappointed reading about all this work they'd done on the seamless booting up and the new Intel graphics and kernel mode setting, but the boot up isn't still particularly impressive. It still switches to text mode here and there.
And you use Intel graphics?
I do, yeah
so.
Intel graphics on my machine. So I was hoping for a really cool kind of smooth transition right from Grub all the way to the desktop. It was ace.
Well, actually, Moblin manages that quite well with Intel graphics.
Moblin does,
yeah.
Right. So yes, it doesn't. I will keep it. It doesn't feel radically different to the previous release, but that's a good thing for me because I really liked 9.04.
Yeah, and you're right. I think Ubuntu releases are like steps up.
Yes, yeah.
So, you have to upgrade.
You don't want to be wowed too much.
I think it'd be interesting. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about, having 2 tiers of distro releases. One version where we upgrade every 6 months because we like it, but every 2 years there could be a major release of Ubuntu and everybody gets excited about all of the stuff they've crammed in.
Absolutely.
So, nothing else really that caught your eye?
No, nothing. Because it's still XFCE 4.6, so...
Stability?
I haven't had any problems with it.
No issues?
No, nothing. No big crashes, no complications. It's just a well-rounded base.
If you were to give it a score...
If I was to give it a score out of
10.
10. Why 10?
16.
I'd give it a 9, I think.
Oh, a 9. That's a sterling result.
It's a Mike tops a forward almost, isn't it?
It is indeed.
I'm surprised. Because it sounds more like a 4 to me.
A 4. Well, let's hear your personal experiences of Kubuntu.
Well, I had actually been running 4.3.1 on Jaunty. Mm-hmm. And I will say that the best thing I find about Kubuntu, the Kubuntu desktop in general, is that the PPA packages for KDE releases are very good. And that's probably why I'll keep using Kubuntu, well, at least on one of my machines. KDE 4.3.1 is a nice release. I think KDE are making their desktops more and more stable, and the Kubuntu team have done a very good job of packaging it. They've also done some nice Air artwork to go along with it, and
a new theme.
Well, Air is a KDE theme, and
right.
The Kubuntu guys have tweaked it slightly. They never give it the same love that the GNOME guys get on the normal Ubuntu desktop, though. I really like the backdrop on the standard Ubuntu install. So 4.3.1 is something the Kubuntu guys, the developers, have done really well at is OpenOffice Oxygen theme. So OpenOffice, which has always looked pretty good in Kubuntu, now looks just like a KDE application. So KDE file requesters, KDE icons. If it wasn't for the delay in it loading, you wouldn't know it wasn't a KDE native application. And that's good.
So it's the end of K-Office then, is it?
Well, when there isn't a K-Office yet for KDE4 yet.
No, they're still working on it.
Yeah. So they've integrated. It works. That's the great thing. They understand 4.3.1. So there's a message indicator that works well with Copeat, with Kmail and Conversation. Mm-hmm. They've also taken a brave step of including Amarok 2.2 and K3B 1.0. Not properly tested, but it's nice to get cutting-edge KDE software. And in general, I think Kubuntu does a very good job of KDE. I enjoy using it.
Did you say it's the best KDE distro?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't, no. But it's solid, and I really like it. And package kit is becoming better. But I still install Synaptic the first time I load package kit and use that.
Does Kubuntu not come with Synaptic then?
No, it doesn't. No,
it doesn't.
So the thing I don't like about K package kit is that the searches don't search the descriptions without changing the default setting. So I never know what packages are called, and seldom a package is called something helpful that when you're trying to install something.
Yeah.
So I'd rather let it search the descriptions by default. Then I might be a little bit happier.
So what is the best KDE distro then?
Well, in light of the KDE roundup in the current issue of the magazine, or the magazine that's about to go on sale,
I don't want to know.
No, I know. I preferred OpenSUSE. So, Andrew's waving his hands.
Yay!
How about you, Andrew? How did you get on?
What
What were you using?
What? Sorry, what?
What did you use? Which version?
Oh,
of
I
Ubuntu?
used the bog standard Xubuntu, which just uses GNOME, and it seems to work fine. Firefox works, Rhythmbox works. That's generally all that matters.
Now you should get the real feeling of upgrade shock, as this was a massive upgrade from you for you from an old version of Ubuntu.
It was, yeah. I was using 8.4, the Hardy Heron, and upgraded like three times in 3 times in an afternoon, one update after the other. But still, hardly noticed any change.
So you couldn't bask in the glory of the new GNOME desktop and love all the new features and feel everything so streamlined and smooth and golden.
Well, the KVM that I use to use my 2 machines with one screen always makes Linux look rubbish anyway. So
yeah, you get a terribly scaled screen resolution.
So it's what else? What have I noticed? There's a lot more grey. The icons on the top are grey, which makes them quite hard to see.
Right.
And the big red power off button is now been changed for a log out user thing, which is a lot less immediately obvious what you have to press.
Oh, it says
to turn the machine off.
Oh, I see. You can't click on it. Right. That's
yeah,
something. They've had that for the last release or two.
Oh, right. Well, that's,
Yeah.
I think in my version the power button had gone. It just says Hudzilla now.
Oh, right.
It used to say Hudzilla power button, now it's just Hudzilla.
Yeah.
Now, in my version anyway.
So you click on your name to turn the machine off.
Yeah. It's probably the way I've configured it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's still better than clicking start to turn the machine off.
Yeah. It is. And that's pretty much it.
Wow.
How did you go from the old version of Ubuntu to the new one? How did you install it?
Oh,
How did you do a fresh install?
no, on upgrades.
You
Online upgrades.
Because that, in my experience, seldom works.
Well, it did. I mean, there was one problem in that the X server all locked up, but we tried restarting the X server and then we turned the machine off and turned it back on again, and it just.
So other than that,
no data corruption. My pictures of Tony Benn and Che Guevara are all fine.
But they do have little green arrows on them now, don't they?
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
right? So partial success. I mean, I can't even possibly imagine the number of dependencies it had to sort out.
Well, it took quite a while. It was
downloaded half the internet.
Yeah.
I think it's people like you that is computer janitor. The cleaner thing that updates your system behind the scenes to use all the new stuff. You wouldn't have that, and you'd have all the old settings on your thing rather than new settings. I think computer janitor sorts it out. That's the idea. No, give it a try. Might break everything permanently. Well, it's a little bit annoying. It has to go through all the stages, though, isn't it? Why can't it just go from A to B rather than A to B to C to D?
Because there are upgrade scripts, aren't there? There are things that you would
yeah.
do. I mean, they could potentially generate scripts.
Yes, automatically. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Well, couldn't they just remove the data then? Not give you all the X's, just give you the scripts. So you'd have to download all this stuff, then throw it away and download it all again. And
Yeah,
throw it away.
that's a point. Yeah.
So I didn't actually give Kubuntu a score, but I guess I'd give it a 7 or an 8. How about you for Ubuntu?
Can I break the scoring system?
Yeah, you can do whatever you like.
In that case, I'll give it 2 out of 3.
Okay. Yeah.
66.6%.
Third. 2/3, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Thanks. That leaves us with Paul, who's just getting changed into a Superman outfit.
Yes, I was using Netbook Remix, both Ubuntu Netbook Remix and Ubuntu Moblin Remix.
Wow.
I was very impressed, at least with one of them. I like the new installer. It's got a little slideshow now, like the old Mandrakes used to have.
Oh, yeah, I used to like that.
Yeah,
well, until it turned into advertising.
Yeah, exactly. This is why Firefox is great. This is why FSpot's great. This is why Empathy is great. This is why IAM's great. And curiously, it ends up with this is why OpenOffice.org is great, which I think a bit confusing. Anyway, that was nice. The boot splash is nice, very, very stylish. I really like one feature because, of course, I suggested it. They've added to gedit snippets, gedit current line. I needed that, and I asked the guy to write it, and he did. Thank you very much.
Gedit current lines. How does that work?
So what the problem is, when I do HTML stuff for TuxRadar, I have to press home to get the start of the line, and hold down shift, and then use a mouse to select the end of the line, right? Or just drag and drop.
Okay.
Select the whole line, then press a key combination, and it will put like div tags around it, whatever, right? There's one called gedit selected text, so it'll use that in the script to replace it. With current line, I just select the current line. Just mouse select the current line and press the div tag, and it will put around the current line.
So no need to highlight.
Exactly, yeah. So
Fine.
it saves a second per HTML tag. When you're doing 500 HTML tags, it's a lot of time, a lot of hassle, a lot of mousing you know to do.
Saves RSI as well.
It does, yeah. So thank you very much.
Why didn't you do it?
Jan van der Kiboom, I think his name is, which is quite a cool name. Thank you very much. I'm very glad he did that for me. Installation was lightning fast. It's awesome. Obviously, a Netbook Remix is probably slightly smaller and streamlined, but very, very fast and cool.
How did you install it?
I just went on the splash screen, just go ahead and install now.
Right.
Didn't do the whole try from CD thing. When it boots up, you're thinking there's not much has changed again, like you guys.
Yeah.
But even the theme hasn't really changed. They've changed the colours slightly. They've removed the way the icons used to spin.
They don't spin anymore, do they? No.
There's kind of a little box around them when they run, which is a bit dull.
Yeah.
And there are so many things in there now. I get lost a little bit under the system options.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of scroll down to try and find it. So. That's painful.
Right.
Didn't like that very much. I think there are a few things they should change because right now it's just not enough to fight Google Chrome. Google Chrome's going to come out and cane it if that's the best Ubuntu can do.
Do you think?
I think so, yeah. There's not enough. They're trundling along, tweaking it. Let's change let's not have a little circle anymore. Let's have a little arrow here and stuff. They're changing tiny, tiny things. And Google Chrome's going to come in and change massive things. It's like Firefox versus the first version of Chrome browser.
Yeah.
Chromium changed so much. Firefox is now catching up. I think Ubuntu will catch up, but they shouldn't want to be in that position. They want to be ahead of the pack, and it's not enough to do that.
Yeah, they need to innovate.
They do, yeah. I think the thing is, the first version of Chrome's due out very, very soon. First alpha releases, so they need to start thinking what we're going to do, lads. And I think also the second thing they need to do is start pushing 64-bit as standard. They're not doing that enough right now. 32-bit is the standard i386 thing. The problem with that is that there's a lot of problems still with 64-bit. People having compatibility problems with Flash or Java or who knows what.
Yes.
And the only way to fix that is to get it more tested, get more people using it, get more bug reported fit in. And they have to start saying 64-bit is now the standard recommended version. I'm not sure, I think that's what MS has done with Windows 7. They're saying 64-bit is the one to use.
Right.
Because they've said that to become Windows 7 certified, you have to have a 64-bit CPU.
Really?
Yeah.
Ah.
It could be a 32-bit OS on there, but it has to at least be able to run 64-bit Windows 7. So they're saying this is the one you should be able to run. And I think Ubuntu needs to lead in that area and start pushing it hard. So it's a nice release, but so little has changed apart from the theme. I think it's a bit sad. They fixed some Maximus bugs. That's the window manager that maximizes every window for you. It used to maximize stupid things like the calculator, and now it doesn't.
What about the GIMP tool palette?
They're fixed, yeah. They were fixed in the last version too, though.
Right.
It does know a few of the problems. But it's not enough. They need to work a lot harder.
Yeah.
The main Ubuntu was alright. It crashed a few times with me, but it was alright. Nothing special.
Well, which bit crashed on you?
The whole thing. I was clicking around, black screen. Oh, thanks. So...
Was there some hard drive activity? Could you tell if the kernel had gone down?
No idea. No, I just thought I haven't got time for this. And I looked at the Moblin release as well, Ubuntu Moblin Remix, which, as far as I can tell, is basically Moblin.
Right. With Ubuntu branding.
They're not even seeing any Ubuntu branding.
Really?
It wasn't like, hey, welcome to Ubuntu, it's just Moblin. I'm not a big fan of Moblin. I thought the interface was a complete mess.
Well, why are they doing Moblin Remix as well, then? How many remixes do they want?
Who knows? Don't know.
Yeah,
but I noticed that there is the RML thing now is standard now for the Ubuntu stuff. So they're pushing that as well. They're trying to go in multiple directions, I think, trying to hedge their bets a little bit.
Yeah.
And certainly Netbook Remix isn't really doing the job right now in terms of innovation. So maybe Moblin's the answer for them. Maybe that's their grand plan.
Cool. And if you were to give your experience a score?
Netbook Remix is still one of it's the best netbook distro out there still. So I'd say it's easily 8, probably 9.
Right.
It's disappointing nothing's changed, but the plain fact is that even with nothing changing, it's still the best thing out there.
Yeah.
And apparently there's some massive improvements on the Intel front for graphics, performance-wise. I didn't have a problem with kernel mode setting, Mike. It worked for me. I got a flicker-free startup. It was very nice.
Well, no text mode at all.
No, you get the spotlight thing just there for a while, then you get your login thing, and it goes back to text to the spotlight thing, and then it goes back to your desktop straight away. There's no flicking, flashing, or anything like that.
Oh, that's good then.
It's all good, yeah. It could be better. It should have recognised I had Intel GPU and done things like, let's fade from the spotlight into your desktop.
Yeah.
It goes click and you're there, and it's a bit disconcerting.
Yeah.
But they're getting there. It is impressive. And with Intel's being the standard on netbooks, they should really put a lot of work into that.
They really should, yeah. I mean, the netbook platform is quite standard at the moment, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
We're now halfway through this Ubuntu Love Fest, and still to come what we loved and hated most, and our wish list for Ubuntu 10.04 Lucid Lynx.
Like Robert Mitchum in Night of the Hunter, our thoughts now turn to love and hate. This is where we talk about the best things about Karmic Koala and also the worst things. We're sort of missing out the ugly, which is going to the good and the bad. Mike,
Hello.
You've said some stuff. Would you like to say some more stuff?
I will carry on talking
What do you love most, Mike?
What do I love most? Because it has been more of an evolution rather than a revolution.
Whoa.
Because it evolved rather than revolved. Then for me, it's the speed. It feels really snappy. I mean, the previous release did as well, but it boots quickly. It reacts well, and I think that's very important because there's, like we were saying before, the netbook market is booming, and there's a lot of low spec hardware out there. So it's important that we have as the biggest Linux distribution something that's really snappy, fast, and great. Right. So, but I haven't really got a most hated feature because there's nothing yet I found which has annoyed me sufficiently, because I've got used to XFC in the previous release, so I haven't found anything yet that's made me want to punch anybody. But no doubt I will, and I will tell everybody about it on the internet.
That is the best place for hate and rage of all flavours. Graham, any thoughts from you?
I think the best thing that they've done is they've not messed it up. I think so much relies on Ubuntu. They've transformed the Linux distribution market. It's become a general term for Linux in so many non-technical circles, and I think it's another strong release, and I think they've done a good job to carry on making it stronger and not actually make any stupid decisions. I really can't complain about the way that they're doing things. Even though there's a lack of innovation, I haven't got any better ideas on how to do it. In terms of things I hate or dislike, I don't know. Other than that,
you're such nice people.
This is it's all quite vague, isn't it? Yeah. We don't really know.
Well, if a really good feature, I like the PPAs. A really bad feature, I wish the the Kubuntu artwork team got the same budget as the Ubuntu artwork team.
Sounds like we're almost metting Ubuntu 9.10.
So.
Are we?
are we all metting Ubuntu 9.10, Paul?
What did I like? I really love the fact that in the new GNOME configuration, by default, there are no menu icons.
Oh, yes.
I thought I would hate it. I was wrong. Also, the toolbar image configuration, they've now set it so that it's to the side rather than beneath the icons, and only appears with some of the icons, not all the icons. And it saves a huge amount of screen space. I didn't realise. And I also didn't realise it actually works so well. I know what the icons do. It's a bit strange, like, new hasn't got the word new next to it, but open has for some reason. Whereas news, a picture of a star, whereas open's a folder being opened, so I think open's more obvious than new. But they've made those choices already. It actually works. It saves so much space on my screen.
I mean, that is quite a big change, given that, normally they're very finicky about these things.
Yeah. Well, it always was an option. Right. Always was there waiting for me to click it, but I never did. And now they've done it for me. and done me a favour.
I thought it'd be strange without those visual cues, but if you look at, like on OS 10 as well, the menus aren't full of pictures there.
No.
And that seems to work fine.
Yeah. And there is something I hate. Something I really properly hate, and I think they're going to do a bit of Fedora here. I'll explain in a moment. I really hate Software Center.
Software Center.
That's the new way to add programs and remove programs. It's under the applications menu as standard. It replaces add remove applications.
Okay.
It is a disaster. It gives you two options, which is get free software and install software. Well, there's this huge pane on the left, which is completely blank, and get free software. There's two items at the top. That's it. That's just like that. The rest of it is blank. You click get free software. It just lists all the software that's in Ubuntu. It's ugly as hell. It needs many categories, more than just get software. It's missing the old Ubuntu badge, like this is supported, this isn't supported. It does tell you once you click on something, you click through, it'll tell you this is supported for 18 months or whatever, but not on the main screen. It's actually add a filter to it to do that.
Why did they chuck the old one away?
Because they want to replace the whole add remove system, including Synaptic, with their own thing.
Just one thing.
The plan is, an app. It is based on App Store. Yeah, they want to add that in the next version as well. They've already got plans in place at 10.04 and 10.10 to do more.
I can pry Synaptic out of my cold dead hands.
Yeah, well, that's the ultimate idea is great. This initial version is dreadful. It's just like the very first pirate attempt by Fedora, which was really slow and crashing and horrible. And they've fixed it since, and I know they fixed it in Fedora, but it took 3 or 4 core versions to do it. It was horrible for a time, and they're doing the same thing with Ubuntu Karmic. I don't understand it. I could have done better in 20 minutes. Seriously, PackageKit has a Python interface querying packages. I have to stick some sort of Glade front end on that looks slightly less crap than 2 buttons. It's just try it, and it will make you want to cry. Synaptic I know is too much people. The old one was actually good. It showed you things like star ratings and stuff.
Yeah.
Little description about it. It's just gone. It's been to all in place of this horrible Software Center. And it's possible in Lucid Lynx or whatever, M's 10.10, it may get much better, but this release is awful. I hate it.
Dum dum dum.
Well, that's some real passion there.
I hate it enough to count the fact that you do have no hate. I'm hating for you.
That's enough.
Fear leads to anger, and anger leads to hate, and all of that. Though I'm sort of taking a step back down the Yoda's emotional ladder to fear, because after I upgraded to 9 point whatever this issue is
11.
After I upgraded to Karmic Koala, all of the files on my desktop had a little green tick on them, which after digging around in various panels indicates that they're available for Ubuntu One, this cloud sharing thing. Even though I haven't signed up for Ubuntu One, and I don't actually want to share all the files on my machine with the internet.
Well, it was an emblem, wasn't it? They've all got the same emblem on it that says Ubuntu One synchronized, as if it's already been done.
As if it's been done, yeah. I mean, quite apart from...
That's a bit scary.
Yeah.
It is.
Especially if you see the pictures on my desktop.
I'm really scared. But if they're all available for Ubuntu One, why do they all have to be marked? Surely it would be easier just to mark the ones that weren't available for Ubuntu One.
It doesn't seem to be saying they're available. It seems to say they've actually already been synced.
Lots of green.
When everyone's special, no one's special.
Yeah.
It's true.
Have you tried Googling for the images?
Lemsip is great. That's one of my images.
And what did you like?
What did I like?
Yeah. Well, love.
It's just grand, isn't it? It's fine.
Right.
Everything's all right.
This is epic meh. No one really quite likes it. No one really hates it. It's basically it's okay.
It'll do. But that's what an operating system should be.
Yeah.
It should just
I
be there.
I want to be excited by my desktop, quite frankly.
I want to be excited by the stuff I use my desktop for, not the medium.
But the thing is, with Linux, it all comes, doesn't it? You get OOO, you get Firefox. That is your desktop nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, to be entirely fair to Karmic, if I'd spent the last 2 weeks using XP or Vista, I'd probably find it a lot more exciting. But I'm already spoiled.
Moving on, it's time to talk about Lucid Lynx. That's Ubuntu 10.04 for the rest of us. What do we want to see? What do we demand to see? What's our wish list for Ubuntu Lucid Lynx?
So this is going to be an LTS release, isn't it?
It's an LTS release.
So we
That means supported for like 5 years.
Yeah. On the at least it means we shouldn't want anything too revolutionary, should we? That will break everything, because this is the release that companies are going to use.
I want revolutionary. I want that if we did a podcast like this in 6 months' time, we should be so excited by the next release that our enthusiasm leaks through the cables and into the ears of our listeners.
Yes. The problem is, if you have too many Met releases in a row, you start falling behind.
Yeah.
And Fedora doesn't usually do Met releases. Fedora's pushing very hard. Like Fedora had Device Kit first.
Yeah.
Fedora had Pulse Audio first. EXT4 first. They really push hard on every front, so you can't keep on doing Met releases. So, hopefully, if you've actually done your homework, gentlemen,
I haven't done a thing.
You'll have 3 of your most requested things for...
Was it 3?
For Lucid Lynx.
I didn't see 3.
I'm sure that wasn't in the email.
Okay, 5.
Yeah, go for it. As many as you want. I want matchsticks, tiny little ants with hats on.
I want a Porsche.
Okay, let's start with Mike, because he looks vaguely prepared for a change. Mike, is there anything you want for Lucid Lynx?
For the next Xubuntu release, I'd like a WebKit based browser by default. I think WebKit is the future.
That's a sensible one.
I think
Someone asked, why do we hate Gecko on the debate?
I don't hate
comments?
Gecko. Nobody hates Gecko. It's just
They're sensing Gecko hatred though over the microphone.
do any of us hate Gecko? Gecko's been great for us, so we can...
Yeah, I'm not too keen on Gecko.
No,
No.
I don't hate it.
I don't bash my fist. I still latently hate Gecko from the old Netscape Navigator days.
But it was all rewritten, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
That?
I still hold against them.
I abhor Netscape
Yes.
4.x. Yeah, that's the worst moments of my life.
Exactly. Yeah.
But so a WebKit-based browser in Xubuntu, I think would be great. Nice, fast rendering system, lightweight, modern, fit in. So Midori or some browser like that.
Yeah. Is that GTK?
It is, yeah.
But is it GNOME GTK or just plain GTK?
Well, the Xubuntu team aren't staunchly anti-GNOME, avoiding GNOME. There's GNOME games in Xubuntu, so they don't mind having some programs in that link into GNOME libraries, as long as they're not big weighty things like Evolution. So that would be my priority, yeah. And then I'd like to see more seamless booting transitions on my particular desktop box.
Maybe the Gecko thing is a problem because, the Firefoxing generally, because I don't use any extensions, apart from maybe Flash, but I know people who use many and rely on them very, very much.
Huge number, yeah.
Adblock particularly, Flash Block.
Flash Block, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing, Flash Get. There's all sorts of things they use, so how would you get that across? It's not easy, is it, really?
No, but... Do you use any extensions, Graham? I don't know many people who actually have loads of Firefox extensions. The defaults...
No, I don't.
Just because of what we do on the internet.
I sometimes do, but lose them in an upgrade and never really get around to reinstalling them.
I occasionally, eventually, if I get really annoyed, install the Flash Blocker thing. I get a little play button, and only if I get really annoyed, and then when I reinstall, I forget about it and don't do it. I get really annoyed again, and then do it again.
Well, perhaps what they need then is you have Firefox there if you're a super power user and you want your 100 extensions. But for the vast majority of people, just look at YouTube and Google Mail, then just a quick light WebKit browser.
Yes. Andrew G.
I want more games.
More games.
Because games are good.
Yeah.
And I'm bored with Chromium now as well. It's just too hard for me.
Is that the shooter?
Yeah. The
web browser.
The one that always makes me think of the Xenon 2 music while I'm playing it. Even though it's not Xenon 2.
It's Mega Blast.
Yeah, that's the word. The aforementioned Porsche, I'd quite like that. I think some sort of... I want a spinny cube. I want a spinny cube to work. My computer...
KD, what?
My computer only has... it doesn't have a 3D graphics card. So I know it's impossible, but I would still like that.
Well, it's not impossible. They were doing 3D years before 3D graphics cards came out, weren't they? They were doing, Duke Nukem.
I thought the whole point of Compass was that it needed...
Yeah, I think the way Compass does it is rather clever, but the spinny cube maybe doesn't need it. I think Compass uses things like off-screen rendering and stuff, which is probably more complicated than you can handle in your little GPU.
Right. But that's what I want. I mean, it's all very well upgrading GNOME incrementally, but it doesn't add any real visual pizzazz. And I want something flashy. I want some bells and whistles. Bells and whistles.
Graham, I'm rather afraid to ask you.
Well, I've been thinking about it these last few minutes, and I've got This is what I think Canonical should be doing. Things like making Pulse Audio easier to use. I mean, that's something I shouldn't have to struggle with Pulse Audio, which we've complained about before. All of the distributions are the same. But, they understand the technology, use it for changing, your sound configuration. They can create a brand new, easy, super intuitive mixer for both GTK and for KDE, and I would choose that distribution over any other. Something that makes it easy to change the volume of your headphones and easy to control the volume of Rhythmbox or Amarok as it's playing without having to wrestle with the terrible nightmare that is Pulse Audio.
I don't even want to know what Pulse Audio is. That's where I stand on this.
I know.
I shouldn't have to know what Pulse Audio is.
It has become a bit of a joke. I mean, I think it's become a bit of a joke in the whole Linux community.
Maybe they're trolling us, these audio engineers who did the Linux code.
But that's somewhere where Canonical can make a big difference, I think. Taking these rather arcane Linux technologies that are very powerful and making them for the rest of us. Isn't that their tagline?
Oh, Ubuntu Linux for human beings.
Yeah.
An audio system for human beings.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. I could do that with all.
I think all they do is go through the source code and do a find replace, like Pulse Audio, replace with like Core Pulse Arts. Same thing.
Yeah, just a nice, simple, intuitive UI. That's what it needs.
Yes.
Did somebody write a book once in which the example project was to write a Linux sound daemon, and that's why there are so many out there. Everybody's doing them. Submitting them to Fresh Me. That's why we have 400 different layers
It's
of
like
sound.
a web browser and VB.net.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
I always like more eye candy. I'm always slightly disappointed there's never more, a bit like Andrew, and that their art schemes aren't as wayward or as out there as they could be, or that I imagine that they could be. I think they play it safe. They should have a safety slider.
Extreme.
Off the top of my head, no.
Okay. I have three things. Three quite simple things. Firstly, I want to see, finally, Adobe Flash as standard.
Well, the proprietary plugin.
The proprietary plugin. If you don't like it, get the free version or some sort of spin-off, like GNU Sense or whatever. Yeah. I want to see Adobe Flash as standard in Ubuntu.
Isn't that something Mark's always kind of pushed for, and it's kind of the community that stymie his attempts?
They can get a free version. It's not hard to make two different CDs. Here's the one that actually works. This one doesn't actually work.
Ubuntu nothing remix.
Yeah, you're right.
I haven't got the patience to be fussing around, particularly because Software Center's so bad. It's really hard. In fact, I tried going to YouTube on my Karmic and it said, you haven't got the latest Flash player, click here to get it in the web page. It wasn't like the old jaunty thing didn't appear, like, click here to install plugins. I didn't get that. I got an HTML warning from Google that forwarded me onto Adobe website, which is a pretty bad experience.
Oh, yeah, because then you got to futz around with tarballs.
You do, yeah. And
so.
I think, was it last week, I put a jaunty on and went through the whole proprietary software installer thing, and for some reason our internal network is dreadful, so it wasn't downloading the file. And the end result is it locked up that window and the window behind it and the Firefox window. I couldn't. There was no cancel. Cancel was greyed out. You couldn't stop it. I could drag it around. It just basically blanked out the whole window with copies of itself. So a complete disaster. So bin that. Just stick Flash in there as standard. I believe at Mike that the license is able for them to do that. They can just negotiate.
They can. You can redistribute it. Yeah.
Yeah. Adobe isn't going to mind. They're like, yeah, sure, have Flash.
Yeah.
And it solves the problem. So please get Flash as standard. Secondly, I want to see multi-threaded apt-get. When I do apt-get foo, it just downloads.
That's a great idea.
8 at a time and then installs them all. Because same problem we have networking, it'll go, oh, I can't be bothered to get that file just now, it'll sleep for a minute or two and then download it. Do 8, it won't sleep, it'll just download them at the same time. Now right now to do that, I have to use Synaptic, select like monodevelop or whatever, it'll say, okay, you need these 50 packages, I click mark them all, then I go to file and say generate download script. I don't know if you've seen this before, it's quite nice. You can and it basically generates a list of all the packages with wget-c before it to download it all. What I do is I then do some sort of sed magic to replace wget-c with ARIA2.
Oh, right, yes.
Or actually basically remove it and then do ARIA2-i, that list. It downloads them all in sequence. It downloads 5 at once.
Right.
I want to do that basically. ARIA2-i, some file -j10, I think is the best one that downloads 10 at once or whatever. That shouldn't be complicated. They should do them all at once. Or as many as they can at once. And finally, I think I want to concur with you guys. I want to see out of the box awesome with Intel. I want to see Intel's open source drivers. It should look flawless on Intel. It should make me want to say, no, I don't want an ATI card. I want to pay extra for an Intel card. Because it looks so damn good on Intel. There is no excuse, gentlemen. It should work perfectly on Intel.
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of different types of Intel chips doing the rounds, but there's broadly very similar, aren't they? Especially ones you find on
It would be
low-cost
nice
machines.
to have all that kind of eye candy enabled by default, and it's going to work.
You know it's going to work.
Yeah.
It's like, but what you have now is a situation Apple has with its hardware. They know the hardware, they know the software. It should just work. No driver download updates required, that kind of thing. It just works. Intel, we have the same thing now with Linux, with Moblin, whatever. It should just work.
Yeah.
Looking even further into the future to Ubuntu 10.10, we thought we'd have a think about what names we might come up with for the next Ubuntu version. It's going to be M on the alphabet. This Linux distribution was brought to you by the letter M and the number 10.
The MEM.
So, chaps, any suggestions? Something like, animals that begin with an M and some sort of adjective to modify that.
Well, apparently it has to be a 2-syllable adjective as well.
Does it?
It does.
Oh, really?
There's naming guidelines.
So
Bugger. I've got moribund
Bugger baboon.
mongoose.
Moribund.
I had moribund.
That's your kind of word, actually.
I've got a big list, but compared to Manky Monkey, they're all crap.
Manky
Well,
It's superior.
Let's do it for maximum comedy impact and save Manky Monkey to the end, then, shall we?
All right.
I've got mellifluous mandrill, but that's again too many syllables. Sorry, fail.
I want musky marsupial.
Are they always 2 syllables in the second word as well?
Nope.
Hedgehog.
Nope. F.
Jackalope.
Ibex.
F. Edgy F.
Meh-mole.
The memo.
That was that prediction of the feature set, isn't it?
That would be great. It's just a mole with his hands in it. Whatever.
Sorry.
Yeah. That's fantastic.
I think Mighty Mouse, but that might get into lawsuits.
They're in trouble with that, yeah.
I like manatees, but I can't think of a word that begins with M to go in front of it.
Massive
manatee. Sweet.
manatees.
Manic Marmoset.
This smells like a competition.
It does.
This should really be a competition.
Should.
Yeah.
But nothing could beat Monkey, so what's the point?
What a great challenge though for the listeners.
Beat Manky Monkey.
If you could beat Manky
beat
Monkey,
Manky Monkey.
you win something cool.
I think Mangy Moose is a good second. Mangy.
I'd like to hear Manky Monkey pronounced by someone with a Cockney accent.
Or a Mancunian.
Manky Mancunian. Monkey.
Didn't see my Sean Ryder impression then.
No, stereotypes, us, we've heard. Yes, so okay, you're absolutely right. If they can beat Manky Monkey, get better than Manky Monkey MM, we will send some goodies their way.
Packet of Smarties.
Yeah,
We've got loads of Linux magnets.
True.
we've got quite a few of those pint glasses as well.
We haven't got quite a few. We've got some because there are subscribers listening to this. They're saying, "No, give it to me." We have. I think 3 left in the office, and we could part with one. I guess.
Yeah,
we have to.
Yeah, we could.
If we have to. So we'll call it unnamed goodies. Unspecified goodies will be yours if you can beat Manky Monkey, which sounds like a Ben and Jerry's flavour to me. Is that Chunky Monkey? Chunky Monkey.
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 Monkeyan, the ever-living.
Yes, Thundercats Ho. If you can beat that, you will win yourself some fantastic Linux prizery.
Monkey.
See, Manic Monkey go for years. What a great name for a distro.
But it's a long-term spot release, so it has to be a good name.
No, it's the one after that.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Sorry,
Yes. We'll start with Lucid Lynx, the Apple OS X rip-off
Lucid
name.
Lynx.
So you think
so, really.
you think Manky Monkey sort of says to businesses, use this in your data centers?
It's cool. It's better than Lucid Lynx, which makes me think of a curses-based web browser.
I just think that they're just trying to bag one of the big cats where Apple does, aren't they? The Snow Leopard, where are they going to go next? Mountain Cat?
Yeah.
Tabby Cat?
Tabby.
Top Cat.
Top Cat. Even though we could spend hours and hours saying the word Manky Monkey to ourselves and giggling, we're not going to. We're going to save you from that horrible fate and end this podcast while we still...
Hang on.
Yes?
Wait a sec. What are you missing? What have you forgot? Look down your list.
Oh yeah, all the notes of this podcast are on the website.
How dare you? How dare you try and
Tune in next
avoid
week.
The one last thing. Does anybody want the one last thing?
I do. I always enjoy this. Well, it's my favourite part of the whole podcast.
Is it? Because it's coming to the end.
I prefer one more thing.
Not one last thing.
No.
I'll do one more thing and then one last thing.
Whoa.
When Mark Shuttleworth was dreaming up the idea for Ubuntu, and he started looking on developer lists and getting developers together, he registered a domain for the project that was to become Ubuntu. Does anybody know this domain? You can still go to it now, and it redirects you to canonical.com.
Is it
Monkey.com.
I can't even say it.
That's a great question. It's got me really intrigued, but
Yeah.
I haven't got
Let
a
me just
clue.
tie my shoelaces.
No iPhones allowed.
No, I don't know the answer to your question, Mike.
Is it mikeisace.com?
No?
Was it MikeOS.com?
No? You want to have a guess, Graham?
People Linux.
People Linux. It's actually no-name-yet.com. If you go to no-name-yet.com, it will redirect you to canonical.com.
That's amazing.
Yep.
You can see why I binned it, because saying hyphen's a bit tad,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Weird.
Well, if you've got money to burn, why not?
I suppose it's only £10.
Yeah, I own romansgohome.com. I'm doing nothing with it, I just love it. I just love being owner of romansgohome.com.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
It's better than no-name.
I know.
Yet.
So that was one last thing, was it? One more thing?
That was one extra thing.
One supplementary thing.
One additional thing.
Fair enough. And with that, can I come to the end of the podcast now, Mike?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Do you want to say Manky Monkey one more time?
Monkey.
There you go. It comes to the end of this podcast. Don't forget, all the notes are on the website to enjoy and try and win our awesome unknown prize. Don't forget, please tell your friends about the podcast. We want to spread the word, get out to more listeners than ever before, and tune in 2 weeks for more japery. And in the meantime, why don't you subscribe to Linux Swamp Magazine? It's a great magazine at tinyurl.com/podcastlxf. Bye-bye.
Monkey.